Today, I'm going to be walking you through my budget for last month, wins and the setbacks, and how I'm going to be budgeting moving forward. For some context, I am a freelance writer, so my income varies month over month. And I also have $30,000 worth of debt. So, this is kind of me just trying to live a frugal life, put as much money towards my debt as possible, and still try to have some fun. I have my laptop here with me, so let's get into it. Okay, so like I said, this month was a little bit weird for me. This is kind of just like one of the pitfalls of freelancing, but I didn't get paid from one of my clients for a couple of months. So I think it was 3 months total. So that's what this kind of like outlier is. And thank goodness, because I had to pay my taxes this month. And then I overpaid for my internet like over a year ago at this point. It was before I moved to Istanbul, and they were supposed to refund me, but it turns out they sent a check in the mail. And obviously, I was not living in Canada anymore. So I actually reached out to them a couple of weeks ago and I asked if there was any way for them to resend the check. And they did. So I received that check this month, which is great. I feel like that's such an example of like the admin work that you don't want to do, but it actually takes like less than 5 minutes to do it. So yeah. And then we get to housing. So these are my fixed housing expenses. Nothing really out of the ordinary, except for my internet bill. I thought it was going to be $37 per month, but $51 came out this month, so I'm going to investigate that. But yeah, my power is Hydro-Quebec, and that is a fixed amount. It's $31 every month, which is great. Same with my tenant insurance, and obviously my rent is a fixed expense as well. Transportation, I don't have it in me to change it from Istanbul card. Is a little bit high, so obviously it should say Opus card now that I'm back in Montreal, but I've just been paying for like one-off like tickets whenever I need to go somewhere. And then this kind of outlier here was actually an Uber in the suburbs to visit my friend. It's definitely higher, obviously, than I thought it was going to be. So that's something I'll have to change for next month. Here's where things got a little wild. I feel like I'm still adjusting to living in a big Canadian city again after living in Istanbul. And the year before that, I was like in extreme debt payoff mode. I've mentioned this in other videos. Like I was not eating enough. So this was $250 was kind of like where it sat in Istanbul and also the year before. But obviously, I think I need to like review this and maybe have a more realistic planned amount. I also want to do this thing. I was asking my friend Tisha about this, who's like, she's like the queen of frugality, I swear. She's always been like so good with her money, even when we were in university. I always admired her for it. But I asked her if she has like within her grocery budget, if she has different silos for different things. Like I feel like for me, just like thinking about what I've spent on groceries this month, it's been like a lot of treats and a lot of like fun non-alcoholic beverages, a lot of chocolate. So I'm thinking for May, I might like get granular with my grocery budget and see what I'm spending on like actually healthy food versus like running out and getting chocolate or chips or whatever. Because I feel like this is a little high for one person. $343 seems like unnecessary. Then restaurants and entertainment. So I had planned $60, which I knew was kind of unrealistic. That's how much I was spending when I was in the extreme debt payoff mode, when I was not socializing. And as I've mentioned, I really want to put more emphasis on community. So I kind of would not like to spend $170 every month. It was a lot of drinks out, like going to the cafes with friends, work dates. I went to the cinema with a couple of friends. I definitely kind of just like turned a blind eye to my budget in terms of restaurants and entertainment this month because I've been so happy just like catching up with old friends now that I'm back in Montreal. But as I mentioned, like after those initial friend dates, I kind of was open with everyone about how I am more into frugal living now. So I feel like the dates that I will have with friends moving forward will be a lot more affordable. A lot of like at-home dates or like free activities. So I suspect $170 I will not see again, hopefully. Phone bill is a fixed expense. Subscriptions, I definitely had like subscription lifestyle creep, I've realized. A lot of it is streaming services. I upgraded my Netflix so I could share it with my boyfriend, which made the cost a little bit more expensive. I'm still paying for a UFC subscription that I was watching with my boyfriend in Istanbul. I have to ask him if he still watches it. Otherwise, I'm going to cancel it. But I feel like $41 is, for me, not a reasonable amount to be spending on subscriptions. But such is life. And then moving in, I feel like even though I've been here for it's exactly 2 months now, the moving in costs just like linger for a long time, especially when you're starting over. So for this, a lot of it, like the $102 that was on my IKEA patio set and like some IKEA dishes. One of these were Bath and Body Works candles, which are a basic human right in my book. And then some of it was just like, like cleaning supplies that you don't have when you move in, like a toilet brush, a little bit of like organizational things, and some home decor as well. I definitely will be adding home decor to my next no buy list. Yeah, I don't love seeing this like $300 expense, but I guess when you're moving, it's just kind of like inevitable that you'll spend. And I definitely spent to feel more comfortable. I'm only human. Pet care seems really low, $5.16. That was on some wet cat food that I got at a pet store. But I've been lumping my cat's other food into my grocery bill, which I think probably shakes out to be around $30 to $40. It's just because I've been buying him like wet food as a treat at the grocery store, and then I haven't been like separating it off of my receipts. Work stuff is double what I planned for. A lot of this, actually, like the main things are iCloud storage and like Google storage. And then there's also like a couple of newsletters that I pay for that have calls for pitches for freelance writers. I kind of feel like having two is a bit redundant though, so I might cut one this month. Oh boy, hobbies, aka YouTube. Adds up quickly if you're not careful. I had paid for a lot of kind of services that I thought would make my life easier. I don't know. I feel like I just kind of got like wrapped up in it, like seeing what these different services can do, but I will be cutting them in the following month. And then I splurged. I splurged on an Insta360 Go 3S, I think it's called. I wanted to be able to start making vlogs, and I'm like so shy to film myself in public. So I splurged on that. But I'm selling a Fujifilm camera that I've had for a couple of years that I don't use. So the money I make from that will go towards the Insta360 camera. Medicine and vitamins, planned nothing. I do buy vitamins like B12 and stuff, but I usually wrap that into my grocery budget. This one was a trip to the doctor, so I still have my Nova Scotia provincial healthcare until actually this month. So because it was an out of province visit, my doctor charged me, but this will be refunded by the Nova Scotia government. And then I also had my Headspace annual subscription come out this month. Just kind of high, but I do a Headspace meditation every single morning, and I feel like it's worth it. I actually feel like it's really helped with like intrusive thoughts, managing my anxiety. I really recommend finding a meditation practice that works for you. Then we go down to my debt repayment. So my RRSP loan, $813.64. That's a fixed expense that comes out automatically. The big one for this month was the rest of my tax payment, $5,133.52. This is what I owed. This isn't like the entirety of what I owed. I was paying what I could in installments while I was in Istanbul before I got into moving debt. So thankfully, I'm all caught up on my 2025 taxes. And now I just have to catch up on saving for 2026 taxes. But this is the closest I've been to getting caught up on my tax debt. It's actually so wild. Like at one point, this number was like in the high 5 figures. I didn't think I would ever get out of it. Genuinely, like, this is a tangent for another video, but I thought I would have to declare bankruptcy with the amount of tax debt that I had. So the fact that I'm like in the clear for 2025, even filed and paid before the deadline, is like a really big thing for me. I'm really excited. And then moving from April on to May. So I have planned about $6,800 for my general freelance income this month. I had a couple of clients that didn't pay me in April. They're behind, so that should come through. And then I have a new anchor client that is pretty great. They pay me on the 15th of every month. It's almost like having like an actual like 9 to 5 full-time job payment, which is really exciting. So I should be making around $6,800 if all goes well and everyone pays me on time, which if you're in the freelance industry, you know. It could happen, it could not. And honestly, that made budgeting seem so daunting to me for a long time. I genuinely think that's how I kind of like got into this mess in a certain way, because when you're unable to predict your income, like this could vary. This could be like 4,000, like I don't know. I have no control over when these finance teams will pay me. And yeah, we just kind of roll with it. That's why I usually plan for 3,850, because I feel like that's generally the base of what I receive. But this month I'm trying to do more $0 or zero-based budgeting, so I'm going to see how that goes. I put $500 for the Fujifilm sale. In my previous video, I talked about how a camera store here in Montreal offered me $500, and I was offered, I think it was closer to $800 for a photo store in New York, but I just really don't want to have to like ship the camera across the border and worry about potentially paying taxes on it, or the quote changes once it gets there, etc. So I think I might just take the $500 and move on. That covers my Insta360 and gives me $50 as well. Moving on. So fixed expenses here. I've already paid my rent because I'm recording this on May 2nd. Internet, like I said, it's more expensive than I thought it was going to be, so I just adjusted it to what I spent last month, and I might investigate that further. We will see. I did break down and change the title of transportation to Opus Card, which broke my heart. But this month, instead of budgeting $20, I think I'm just going to buy the monthly pass, because super exciting, I was accepted into the free Quebec government French classes, which is in the Plateau. So I will be taking the metro to the Plateau Monday to Thursday. I'm so excited for that. I thought it was going to take like a year to get accepted into this program, but it was like less than a month. So I do a placement test next week. I really hope that I'm at least B2 or C1, because I've studied French for so long, but it's like a psychological block that I have with speaking French. But yeah, I'm so excited for that. And yeah, having the month pass will be great, because it's like I don't have to be as intentional when I'm taking the metro. Like it won't cost me $3.50 every time I want to like grab a ride for a few stations. Groceries, I'm hoping I can stick to $250. I think if I'm a little bit more intentional and like don't buy the little treats, like maybe don't spend as much on like basically junk food, chips and chocolate are my kryptonite. And then, like I said, I'm going to be more granular with this as well. So I'm going to track like what I spend on actual meals and what I spend on like convenience food or treats and see how that goes. Restaurants and entertainment, I bumped it up from $60 to $100. I just feel like even though I'm prioritizing free and low cost plans with friends, this is just a more realistic number. Phone is the same. Subscriptions, I really want to get it down to $25 to start and then like keep going lower as the months go on. So I'm going to do an audit on my subscriptions later on. Then moving, thank God, I don't think I need this anymore. Hopefully no like unexpected expenses come up, but like it's basically like 3 months at this point. So, and I'm on a no buy for decor. So Ollie Care, $40. I honestly don't think I will spend $40. Although I might. I've been buying him like wet food as a treat because he's getting older and he's such a like little gourmet guy. But I've cut down, instead of giving him like an entire can for dinner, I portion them out into thirds and then I kind of like sprinkle it on top of his dry food. I just feel like it's not doing him any favors to like give him junk food and make him chubbier than he already is. Work stuff, I'm giving myself $30. That's for my storage subscriptions, and just one newsletter I think will be enough. Hobbies, so YouTube, I want to get it down to $40. I feel like I still use CapCut and Canva a lot for my videos, so I don't know. I might be able to use the free version, but for this month, I'll allow myself the $40. Medicine and vitamins. I've mentioned this in a previous video, but I take methotrexate for psoriatic arthritis. And in Istanbul, I was getting it from the pharmacy for, I can't remember how much I was paying, but it was like at least for like 3 or 4 months and probably less than $20 for that length. Unfortunately, I ran out this month, so I'm going to have to get it from a Canadian pharmacy and it will be $40 a month for that. Okay, I'm not sure what this Quebec tax stuff is. This is like from many years ago. My line of credit one still has $2,330 on it, but I think if all goes as planned with my income this month, I will be able to wipe this to a zero balance. Line of credit two is at $8,300, and if all goes as planned, I'll be able to put $1,000 on that. And my RRSP loan, the $813.54 will be coming out in a couple of days. Yeah. So that's how I'm budgeting for May. I've never really taken this zero-based budgeting into account. I feel like it's kind of tricky as a freelancer, but like I also feel like trying to forecast my income for the month makes more sense than just like working on a minimum amount, if that makes sense. Like, at least while I'm having this debt payoff, or like even moving forward when my debt is all paid off and I'm investing, I feel like it's good to base my budget, like to use the minimum amount for my fixed expenses, and then kind of like if I get paid what I should be getting paid based on my forecasting, then that can just go into investments, for now debt payoff, but like eventually investments, because otherwise it's like it's kind of setting yourself up for failure, I think, to just like bank on people paying you on time, which is such a sad thing to say. But if you're freelance, you know what I'm talking about. It's not always easy to chase invoices. And then obviously, I feel like once my debt is paid off, then I will probably start not an emergency fund, but like having like a month's worth of expenses always in my bank account. So it's like, even if I'm not getting paid what I think I should be getting paid based on my forecasting and invoicing, it will always be there. So I will like be able to completely cut out the need for relying on lines of credit and just rely on my own kind of like living sinking fund. Yeah. Let me know if you have any questions, and if you made it this far, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.